event was only placing the Aditya L1 in the precise halo orbit. So it was moving towards a halo orbit, but we had to do a little bit of corrections to put it at the right place. So something like a 31 meter per second velocity has to be given cumulatively to the satellite to keep it at the right orientation. So basically it's a halo orbit. It's an orbit which moves around L1 point with a size of 6 lakh kilometer in one dimension, 2 plus lakh in another dimension, 1 lakh kilometer in another dimension. So it formed like an egg. So in this new orbit it has to be placed, it has to be very precisely put. If we don't do the correction today, it will escape from this point. Okay, we will not allow it to escape if it cannot happen. There are some contingencies, but I am only telling mathematically it can escape. So that has been very precisely done. Ultimately what we achieved today is exact placement based on our measurement and very correct prediction of the velocity requirement. The computer decided to cut off at the accelerometer based cutoff has happened. So right now it is in our calculation it is at the right place. But we are going to monitor for next few hours to see whether it is at the right place. Then if it is slightly drifted, we may have to do a little bit of correction, and we don't expect that to happen.
जो घटना है ये घटना बहुत बड़ी घटना है हमारे भारत की दृष्टि से और देखेंगे कि ये जो आदित्य L1 सोलर ऑब्जर्वेटरी है तो ये आज शाम को 5 बजे इसरो द्वारा उसका जो हेलो ऑर्बिट है उस ऑर्बिट में वो उसको स्थित करने वाले हैं और आज के बाद फिर सतत 5 वर्ष यह सूर्य का जो डायनामिक्स है, सूर्य का जो वातावरण है, उसके बारे में जानकारी वो हमारे से बने जो बेस स्टेशन है इसरो का, उसके साथ साझा करने वाले हैं। और ये जो जानकारी है, ये जानकारी केवल भारत की दृष्टि से नहीं, तो पूरे विश्व की दृष्टि से बहुत ही इम्पोर्टेंट इस तरह से होगी। भारत का ये पहला ही सोलर मिशन है और करीबन 2 सितंबर को ये लॉन्च किया गया था और आज करीबन 5 महीने के बाद उसका जो ऑर्बिट है उस ऑर्बिट में प्लेस किया जाएगा। ये बहुत बड़ी घटना है।
Point is a point in between the Earth and the Sun in that direction, about 15 lakh kilometers from the Earth, and it is 1% of the distance to the Sun. This is a point where the gravitational force of the Sun equals the force of the Earth. So therefore, it's a point where we are intending to place Aditya L1. It's not exactly at this point the satellite will be placed. Satellite is going to be placed in a halo orbit because that around that point it will be in an elliptical orbit and facing the Sun all the time. So today's exercise is a first step in that direction, when from the almost linear path towards the Sun, it is going to be placed in the halo orbit, and therefore that kind of a burn will be given to the satellite so that it takes to that orbit. So in the coming days and weeks, ISRO is going to track this satellite so that it remains and it is kept in that intended orbit around the L1 point.
Now, the Aditya L1, again second one in the world, which is going to discover the mysteries of the Sun, which had either in the past hitherto eluded us or they got woven around fairy tales and folklore, but which have become very important for us now because we have a huge stake in the space. We have several satellites in the space, so it's important for us to understand the various phenomena associated with solar mechanisms, whether it's the solar energy, whether it's the interplanetary magnetic fields, whether it is the solar winds or the so-called solar storms happening from time to time, or also the coronal ejections so-called, because they can sometimes be of a disadvantage, and also at the same time they could be used to the advantage of our missions as well. So at the same time, so what I think, very much like Chandrayaan, the findings that we gather from here are being very impatiently or very curiously being looked forward to by the rest of the world, particularly those who are very much into the space missions, even those who have started much before us. And this also once again puts us as a frontline nation of the world and puts us in a position where India or Bharat is no longer to be led by other countries, more ways than one. We are ready to lead others, to give them cues, and space economy is going to be also an important part of India's growth story in the next 25 years.